So this is our 1965 Mack B61. Got a little bit of time on my hands and was looking for a project on the truck. And I figure it's about time we get rid of this gnarly, dented up old hunk of crap bumper. So at some point in this truck's life it hit something pretty heavy. Or hit something pretty fast. I'm not quite sure what happened, never got a story on it. But either way, it's got to come off and I'm going to build a new custom one for it. So step one, we got to come out here and scavenge us some 6-inch channel that came off a job site as scrap. Gonna try and find the most straightest piece I can, which I think is gonna be this guy. Not exactly perfectly straight as I wanted, but if we just cut a short section out of the end here, I'm sure it'll be straight enough, I hope. And we'll knock whatever these little guys are off. So let's find something to carry us over to the shop with. So we got the forklift of choice here, the John Deere 410G. And I guess I should drag it out by hand so I don't scratch up my truck by accident. Alright, we got a piece of channel here. Oh, almost took her out with some trees. Let's see if I can make it all the way across without falling out of the bucket. Got all 4 bolts loose. These gotta get hammered out of there, but they're undone. Undone these top ones as well, but just noticed someone at some point has put a very low penetrating crappy weld in there. So that's gonna get cut off there, and then she should be ready to fall on off. These are gonna stay up here because they're pretty straight still. They got the angle bent on them, and I will be doing kind of a number plate or a nameplate design like this, so no reason they got to come off there. So let's get a cutoff wheel, I guess, in there and try and get that off. Well, as you can see, the crappy little welds that held this guy on weren't even doing anything anymore because this was able to fall away, and you can really see the true nature of that whole bend. Got a nice little bridge, I guess, now. I'm also not too sure what these guys are. I don't know if they're some sort of steps or what. But now I gotta see. This side already broke. Wasn't much of a weld in there anyway. Some tension on it. So I gotta see if I need to cut all the way a little bit more here, I think. I guess letterboard grill guard piece off, which isn't in that bad a shape actually. It's mostly straight, but I think I'll go ahead and rebuild that. These are barely welded in there. That's actually ready to break on out of there right away. Alright, now that I kick it. So we got this little piece of steel, which is barely held in there. I guess that was some sort of top plate at one point. Looks like a great piece of steel to fall down underneath of it and get caught in a tire or in someone else's windshield. That takes care of that. And we got a pretty clean slate in here. This mount's a little bent out. That whole frame might actually be bent a little bit. But nonetheless, doesn't look like too bad of a starting point. So I guess I'll go ahead and measure and cut my new piece of channel. So, got it sitting up there, kind of even out. I'm still going to cut that piece of junk off. Like I said, much straighter than it was originally. I think I like that length. It's not all the way out to the end of the fender, but I mean, it will protect the front of the fender right here in this weak spot. So now I got to figure out how I'm going to do my ends. So since the B model is such a curvy truck with round fenders, I don't think it would look right with just cutting this off straight like this and leaving it. I mean, that's the easy way to do it, but I think what I'm going to try and do, and I don't know if this is going to completely work, but I want to cut radiuses on here, cut these into radiuses on the top and bottom, and then bend the face back, just so it comes a nice curve at the end here. It's kind of how the original bumpers for a lot of these trucks look, so I think it will be a good balance of originality with custom and, like I said, kind of following the lines of the truck. Not this line, obviously that's a big dent, but the nice curvature of the fenders and stuff. So got to kind of brainstorm on how I want to put those curves on the end. It's a pretty stout channel, so it's not like it's going to be easy to bend that. Definitely got to heat it up and figure out how I want to cut my radiuses on here. Might plasma cut out pieces and then completely cut this off. Not sure yet. So more thinking. So got the drawing for the top and bottom portion of our curve ready, and we're going to set it up here on the plasma table and cut a few of these out and test them out. So it's now nighttime, and I cut the bumper nice and straight here with my chop saw. Now I'm going ahead and starting to make the curved end pieces, which you see here. So as you saw, I cut out these pieces on my plasma table, and then I ended up tacking them to the table, and then starting from the top here, just welded, and then just slowly work this piece of 3/16 around till it, you know, matched pretty well with the edges of my little half moons or whatever you'd call those. To not waste any plate, I decided to kind of do both on the same piece here so I could use the leverage of either side without having a bunch of excess kind of half bent 3/16. So now I need to cut these off flush. This will be a drop. Then I'll go ahead and tack these onto the end of the channel, and then I'll probably weld them out, flush them off until everything looks good. Never done this, so I don't know how it's going to turn out, and worst case I cut it off and try something else, I guess. So we got the first end tacked on here, matched up pretty well, still pretty straight on there. I don't know, so far I don't mind it. I wish I would have made this a little bit longer. That would have made this a little more gradual, but I think it'll look good on there. So now I got to trim this piece of channel down and stick the other one on. I got the other one all cut off too. And then we'll stick it on the truck and see how she looks. So back out here at the truck, got it sitting on there. I got my Milwaukee light tower out here so I can actually see what's going on. Really digging the curves. I think it does the truck good. Does it justice, I guess would be the right words. Kind of matches this profile, somewhat matches the fender, which is what I was going for. Somewhere in my math I shortened this thing way more than I wanted to. So I think I need to add in a couple inches. Not the end of the world. I'll just cut off one end here, knock that off because it's only tacked on, splice in however many inches I want, and then just weld it good. And if I really want to go crazy, I'll put a like knife bar on the back, I think is what you would call that, or like a support fish plate, I don't know. Anyway, really liking the design, just wish I would have went a little longer. I want to get out kind of at least past these. So it's kind of still matching the contour of the fender, I think. So, no big deal. Mistakes get made. Oh well. So, ended up adding about 7 or 8 inches into it. That gets it pretty much where I think I want it. Any longer, I think it'd start looking goofy. This is just kind of dumping right into the angle of the fender. So I kind of like it. And I was able to add that piece in without, and keep the channel straight and even. So once I weld from the backside, I'll flush this off. Maybe figure out if I want to reinforce it at all on the backside. And I mean, hopefully you'll never even know that I had to add in that piece. Just sort of done a little more thinking and measuring, I guess, before I started working, but oh well. So now I've got to, I guess next I'll weld up the edges and flush those off, and then drill the mounting holes. And then from there I'll move up to the letterboard, which is going to take a little bit of thinking. Welded these up and flushed them off. Flushed off my little junction there on both sides. Set the old grill guard up. I'm going to do something similar, but I want more of a signboard type deal so I can write our name on it. But probably we'll do channel verticals again, sheet metal signboard, and maybe something like this. I mean, this is galvanized junk. But like I said, I am going to reuse these. But I think I will put a little plate up here so that these can stay straight up and down. So they'll be actually set back a little bit from this bumper. But that is for tomorrow's project, because it is 10 p.m. on Thanksgiving Eve right now, and I want to go to bed. So this morning, got the bumper bolted on here. Drilled into the original, well, maybe not original mounting holes, but what the old bumper was mounted off of. Now I'm trying to figure out my signboard / grill guard here. So grabbed a chunk of 4-inch channel rather than using this big old 6-inch. Like I said, still going to use these original braces, so trying to get it to line up with that. Like I said, it kind of sits behind this 6-inch, so I got these little plates cut. I'm gonna go ahead and weld them on top here, and then I'll build some gussets in the back. Then I'll probably trim off that excess in the back just to make it look a little better. Not completely sold on how it looks yet, but it's gonna be kind of hard to tell, I guess, until I have all the pieces up there. The grill guard's gonna look a little wider since this is only 4 inches rather than 6-inch like the old one. But basically I'm thinking just the 2 channel vertical ups on the ends, and the signboard on the top, and then maybe one like pipe or something through the center, just protect the bottom of the radiator and just give it a little bit of a mean look. Trying to balance, making it look pretty heavy duty while also kind of making it look more like a signboard, which are pretty light duty, I guess. So it's just gonna take a little bit of thinking, I think, but I'll get it. So we got these two set up here now. I got them, just use the old stick welder, tacked them on there, stack those plates on. I think I want these to be pretty flush with the front of this. I think that'll look best. I can still get a bolt in there. I might just weld those up. I don't know. Still get a bolt on this side as well. This sticks forward a little bit, but now I guess we got to tack them on there once we make sure they're vertical with a square, and figure out my signboard, I think. Still not completely sold on how this looks. Love the bottom part of the bumper, but the top, we'll see. So check in here when I got it all tacked together and maybe a signboard figured out. All right, so made a fair amount of progress and a couple decisions here. So I decided to go with 2 pieces of pipe, really thick wall. I think it's like 1.5-inch pipe. for the grill guards, kind of spaced them out pretty evenly. And then we cut a piece of 6-inch flat stock to be the letterboard. That's just flush with the top of the channel up here. And then it extends about 1 inch on either side, rounding off the corners real quick. So I'm going to make that bolt on because eventually it's going to get pulled off and I'm going to pinstripe our name onto it or something like that. So just kind of got it all mocked up here. Like I said, I want to make that so it bolts on and off, so I'm not going to weld that on. And I guess the next steps are to need to bolt on these uprights again. They're tacked in place right now, but I'll just break that tack and drill some bolts. That way this whole bumper still can come off, which would be nice. Guess it's not completely necessary. We're still kind of deciding on how we're going to paint it in the end. The truck's, you know, not at all restoration. It's pretty rough. So having a brand new black gloss or even flat black bumper on the front, I think is going to look a little wrong. So from what I'm thinking right now, I'm just going to sand it all down or wire wheel it all down and then maybe clear coat it. That way it won't rust any worse than it is. Hopefully that'll kind of make some of the welded areas kind of match with the unwelded areas and so on. So I think next I'll drill those holes in the top, drill the holes in the signboard, and then I'm going to build some sort of bracket to go from here down into the inside of the channel, just to make us stronger than just sitting on these little 3/16 plates. Because after all, this is supposed to be a pretty strong bumper. All right, back to work. Got the bumper pretty much finished, other than finish welding it all and 2 gussets underneath the verticals right here. As you can see here, I put it in this plate. Wasn't originally planning on doing that, but I think it just makes it look good. It was just an extra piece of this I had. So like I said, finish weld, put 2 gussets underneath to make sure that signboard's strong. And I think I decided I'm going to wire wheel the whole bumper down and then just clear coat it really heavy. And she'll be done.